5:01. Call our meeting to order. This is the first public hearing on the 2015-2016 proposed budget with the proposed millage rate capped at 7.2442. Thank all of you for coming out. We're going to go here. Ms. Norris, are you going to take the lead or?
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just a few things that we're required to let you know and inform you and the public of before you do anything else. The aggregate proposed millage rate is 7.6232, which is 5.64% above the current year aggregate rollback rate of 7.2163. The proposed tentative budget countywide millage rate, which excludes the fire districts, is 7.2442. And the maximum millage rate that you can levy tonight is that 7.2442, unless you of course, vote to do something lesser. The general fund budget cash carry forward amount is $7,725,222. Of that, there's unrestricted in the general fund is $5.5 million. The public works unrestricted is $670,000, and the restricted cash in general fund is a little over $1.5 million. All of this has been budgeted as a source of funds in your general fund and public works budgets. A few reasons for these increases over the rollback rate are your net increases of transfers out from general fund for public works and the reestablishing of your capital projects fund. Overall increases to expenditures, with key ones being an increase to your workers' comp insurance premiums, the property appraiser's budget increase, sheriff's office budget increase, and jail budget increase, EMS budget and increase, and some pay and step increases. And I highlighted those only because they're over a little more than just those general small ones. Your Port St. Joe Downtown Redevelopment Agency this year obligation is $163,306, and that's based on the proposed millage rate. That changes as you change the millage rate. Your dependent fire districts proposed tentative millage rates are all set at $500,000 each this year. I would like to note on your budget book that you have in front of you that many account codes have changed from the prior proposal that you had, and the remaining codes will be updated prior to the final budget adoption. And these adjustments are made because of some operational consistencies that needed to be made and the state compliance updates with the Uniform Chart of Accounts. Also, just to note that the changes associated with the updated elected official salary schedules have already been included in the proposed budget that you have before you. I would like to remind you that any increases in this budget that you make at tonight's hearing will require an equivalent reduction specified by line item by you, so because we cannot go up. So if you increase, you're going to have to decrease somewhere else. And at this point, I'll turn it over to you, Mr. Chairman, for the board to discuss any matters that you would like and allow the public to be heard.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Anyone from the board? Questions that the clerk just presented to us? Remember what she said. You increase, you got to decrease, so you double there. Go up $1 here, you got to take $1 from somewhere. One over here.
I'll give my opinion on it, Mr. Chairman, if you want to hear it. I mean, if the board wants to hear it.
Sure.
Honestly, every year, each year, we set up a budget committee. They work tirelessly, 3, 4, 5, 6 meetings a year putting this budget together. I think they do an excellent job with the dollars that they have to work with. sometimes we do have to increase just a little bit. None of us wants to do that. But it's just like the clerk said, where we're at today, if we increase somebody's budget today, then we gotta go back into that budget somewhere and find where we're gonna replace it at. You know, so I think the committee did an excellent job, the best that they could do with this. And honestly, I'm okay with it. I'm okay with where we're at today. We have a slight increase. I don't like it, but we have a lot of services that we have to keep up in the county, you know, and it's just like my light bill. I don't like having to pay a light bill, but I love my electricity, and I'm gonna pay it, you know, so this is no different for me, really and truly, and I commend the committee for working with this budget and trying to get it down as low as possible to keep our taxes down as low as possible. So I'm okay with where we're at today. I can go ahead and tell you I'm not going to sit here and increase anybody's budget. I won't do that today. I mean, you can come up here, you can ask me, but it's going to be a no vote from me. I think the committee has did an excellent job. We've done what we can do with this. So that's my thought on it.
All right, thank you, Commissioner. All right,
There are two issues that have been brought to my attention, and they have been brought before the board's attention at prior meetings. And that is the property appraiser. I think we all received the email regarding his needs, so I think that's something that we need to discuss. And also the Senior Citizen Center. They have a need for some additional funding due to state cuts. And of course, we all know the issues with the property appraiser's office and how important it is that we have that office properly staffed, and there's also some litigation issues. And the Senior Citizen Center is something that I think we at least need to discuss that. I'm sure that every person on this board feels that we should take care of our seniors. So I had a couple of things that I've asked about. Well, there's many things that I've asked about. You all know that I disagree with a lot of things in this budget. I'm not going to rehash all of that like I did the past 2 years, as you are aware of that. But there are a couple of things that I would like for us to look at. One of them I brought up at the last meeting, and that is the park budget for C.L. James Park. And I did visit the park. It's a lovely park. It's a very nice park, very large park. The park appears to me to be built in such a way that it's very durable. Concrete block, metal, very little amounts of wood. I'm not really certain where the $10,150 that we're providing. I'm not sure how that's being spent. I did receive a list of the payouts that the city of Wewah uses for their parks. When you look at this overall, we've got $10,000 going to that park, and the Dead Lakes Park, we put out about $40,000, and it appears to, this year they project about $25,000 in revenue, so that's a $15,000 net cost as far as I could see, unless I'm missing something here. So we've got $25,000 going out to just those two parks. And then we have a $25,000 budget to cover all of the parks in the rest of the county. So really, I believe both of those parks are in your district, Mr. Chairman?
yes.
So that's 30,000 going to your district for parks and 5,000 to other districts. I think we need to look at that. It's probably something that has happened over time. We need to really work on our parks budget. But I think that 10,000 that is going to TL James Park is something that can be used better in other places in the county. They've been receiving it every year. It's a lot of money to run a park. I would rather see that money be used for the property appraiser's deficit or the senior citizens deficit. And that's a $10,000 deficit to the property appraiser. I believe the Senior Citizen Center is looking for $11,340, if I have that correct, and maybe Mr. Schultz can add to that if I have that incorrect. But I'd like to ask the board to look at that figure, and I'd also like the board to look at the amount that we pay to our insurance consultant, and maybe Mr. Butler or Ms. Herring can help me out. Can you help me out with the line item where that
Sorry, I
amount
put
is?
things on you. You're looking for, which one? For TL James?
Well, I was looking for the fee that we pay to our insurance consultant.
Oh, I'm sorry. It is going to be under, it's within that, it's within the first budget on page 15. It's under the Board of County Commissioners, and it's within that 34,000. I'm sorry, it's the, under operating expenses is the second line, other services.
Okay, and my understanding, it's 19,000 and change.
It is, with the new codes, a lot of things have been consolidated. So it's within that 53. I can pull the exact number for you.
And while she looks at that, that is a figure that I have talked about since I was elected to this board, that I don't think it is effective for us to be paying our insurance consultant. It's something that should be going out for bid. I asked for it to go out to bid this year. I think that we could be getting the same services without paying this extra $19,000. And I've asked for the board to look at these two numbers before. I believe it might have been last year that originally we cut that amount to the WeWa parks, and then it was put back in before.
Commissioner, if you, let me intervene here and we can clear all this up about that quick. When TL James came in when it was promoted, it was the only park. Today, we have, north end of the county, we have the Honeyville Park. Kids play both ways. The city of Port St. Joe received no money. EDC put on the fifth penny for Parks and Recreation. Commissioner Quinn asked the question, why are we putting $10,000 to TL James? We're not putting any toward the city of Port St. Joe's parks. A very good question. TDC is coming in. We're cutting this out. TDC with the fifth penny. We're going to give the city of Port St. Joe $10,000, and they're going to give the city of Weaver-Hitchcock $10,000, so that'll eliminate this $10,000. But let me go and say further. The city of Weaver-Hitchcock does all the water testing for the county free of charge. The city of Weaver-Hitchcock does a lot of services that they do not charge for that $10,000. Now, they can start charging us, or we can go to an outside firm. But the TDC has stepped in and says, we will give each municipality $10,000 off of the fifth penny. So that'll eliminate the taxpayers $10,000 that they've been it was 13, I think I'm right, 13. So that's been taken care of.
Well, if that's the case, then we should be able to eliminate this line item from this part of the budget, because that would be in the TDC budget.
I don't see Mrs. Jenkins here, or is any of the TDC
And
people here.
just to
But anyway, that's
complete
just,
what you had stated, if the city of Weewa does services for the county free of charge, that's wonderful. We also provide services to both the city of Weewa and city of Port St. Joe without charge. I think we all try to work together. If they feel that we need to pay for some service that they provide, because we shifted this 10,000 from the county budget to the TDC budget, then those need to be other line items. But I think that you, Mr. Chairman, have probably made the point that we can eliminate this line item if the TDC is going to be funding the 10,000.
I don't agree with you there, Miss Bryan. If you look back when we put this in progress, the north end of the county, the girls, for instance, they had no place to play ball. No place to play ball. That's when all this came about. Okay, we said, we're going in, we'll help Till James create the park, run the park for the whole county. Most of it's for the north end of the county. Since that time, we've been able to create in Honeyville Park some more ball fields, which has helped. But most important thing is that it has improved these sports, especially on the north end of the county. I'm talking state championships, I'm talking World Series, the whole 9 yards. And this is for the kids. I don't think of a better way to spend your money other than for the kid. So $10,000 to me, you know, St. Joe, Port St. Joe has the fields available to accommodate the girls, their ball teams, the whole 9 yards. We don't have that. So, you know, there's where we at with this. But to put everything out on the table and weigh it all out, I can show you the facts. There's a fella right there that sit up there and help coach ball, whatever. We have teams from Gulf County, that's been to the World Series playing ball. And that's because, maybe partially because of the $10,000 that this board chose to help support that.
well, let me go back, then I'll go back to you. We're not going to be cut out the 10,000. We're going to get the 10,000. We're just shifting it from taxpayers to the TDC on the fifth penny, and also the city of St. Joe will come in, as the Commissioner asked, why here and there. So TDC will give the city of Port St. Joe for their program $10,000. TDC will give $10,000 that the taxpayers been given to the north end of the county, Weewa-Hitchcock, Till James Park, which had to be expanded to cover all these, and that's a big operation up there. So we're not cutting the city out. They'll still get their $10,000 in the city of St. Joe. Then that's what I call balancing. Everybody's treated fair there, and it takes it off the burden of the taxpayer.
But Mr. Chairman, are you saying now that we need to go ahead and pull this 10,000 out, or do we need to leave it in
Leave it.
and wait for the TDC?
We got one
What-
more budget. We got one more budget meeting.
And I'd like to kind of respond. And Commissioner McLemore, I agree with you, and I think it is a wonderful park. And I kudos to who built it, because they built it to be low maintenance. And I think it's wonderful that we have girls softball, any sports that go on. The other parks are important as well. And I would like for my parks to be in the condition that park is in, but I don't have the budget to put my parks into that condition. So I don't see why we're favoring one park over the other. And I'll reiterate that I know that we've moved our 25,000 roughly that goes to parks under the TDC budget, and I would like to see us use those funds more collectively for the parks, so that we all make sure that all the parks are in good condition. But that park, to use $10,000 a year to maintain that park when the other parks are getting maybe 1,000. I mean, I have a list here of the parks in my district, and I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I have 6 parks or boat ramps plus all of the beaches, the walkovers, and I have 5,000. Now, I know I'm kind of mixing issues here, but what I'm trying to show is that we're really overfunding this park that's in the city of Weewa and should also be funded by the city of Weewa. And I'm all about us working together. But I think that we should move the parks into the TDC budget, and clearly that's what the TDC is willing to do. And today, we have some very important issues at hand, and that is caring for our seniors, which is extremely important. I don't want to even think about the fact that we may have a senior citizen shut in our community that's not getting fed, that's not getting checked on, that's not getting the services that they need. And we have a serious issue with our property appraiser's office. They're the ones that generate the funds. We want to make sure that they have the staff that they need to get out there and be reassessing the properties and making sure that those properties are assessed properly. I'll talk about the litigation needs separately because I think that we can handle that in a different way. If we move this 10,000 out, we can free up those funds to fund one of these other issues. Now, I'm not saying that if something happened in a park, T.L. James Park or any other park in the city of Weewa or in the city of Port St. Joe, and they had some big issue that hit that park that they needed help, we can always come back to this table and get them help. But to fund year after year $10,000, I just don't see how that park requires that amount of money for maintenance when you look at the other parks. So I still believe that we should strike that from this county budget. And I will make the motion that we strike the 10,000 to T.L. James Park from this budget.
Okay. We put a motion on the floor. Strike the $10,000, T.L. James Park from the county budget. I hear a second to that motion.
Second with discussion.
Thank you. You have the floor, Commissioner.
Shouldn't we strike it from the budget if the money is coming from TDC, right? We should go ahead on and move to take this 10,000 because it's going to be replaced with the TDC 10,000. So I mean, we should go ahead on and.
Now, yeah. That was my understanding. The fifth penny was brought on when we was talking about it, and it's to generate money to build a park system here in Port St. Joe. But TDC said this came up, TDC is willing, and whether they voted it with their board or not, I don't know, and that's the reason we got another meeting to come up here and make sure. I don't want to mess up here. I say we leave it intact till the last meeting. But they would do that, and that way they could give to the city of Port St. Joe. And then that way you wouldn't say, well, you're showing favoritism to this city and taking from that city. Then they're both equal on to help them with their parks.
Right.
Now, she's talking about she's got a park. Look, people, you've got 2 parks. I want to be honest with each other. You've got one out here at Beacon Hill Veterans Park. I don't think there's been a ball game played on it in 10 years. I don't know if there's ever been any ball games played on it. You have
Well,
another
there are
one,
ball
wait a
games
minute,
played on
you
it.
have another one in White City. I don't know when it's ever been used, and I was talking with the people out there. They said, we don't have enough kids to support softball or baseball out here. I mean, these are the people, and you go out there, they said, we'd rather have a basketball goal over there at the where the boat ramp is. If 2 or 3 or 4 want to go out there and shoot some hoops, they would enjoy that a lot more, but we don't have enough to have a support a ball team out here. Now that's just talking with the people. I didn't ask them. They just threw that up to me out there when I was meeting with them one day. But you don't need, every one of these parks don't need a big ball field. I'm telling you, you don't need that. We've got a nice up in the north end of the county. As soon as we generate enough money on this fifth penny for Parks and Recreation, you're gonna see one down here. And that's it. Sure, sure.
I'll agree with you that we don't need to be building more and more parks and more ball fields, but we need to take care of what we have. Now, the ball field at Beacon Hill Park is not, it's not a league play field. There's one field there, but it does get use, and it's used by families who are having their reunions or gatherings at that park. That's what it's about. And it's used by the little ones that are out there for practice. And the girls come out there and practice. But it's not used as much as it would be because it's covered in excrement. So you tell me if you'd want to put your child out there. There's a conflicting use going on. Now, we are going to resolve that issue, but that's really not the issue at hand here today. And as far as the ball field in White City, I was not on this board when they created that ball field. It's just a lot that was turned into a ball field on the side of the road in White City. I'm not really sure how that came about. But that, again, is really not the issue here today. The point that I'm making is that what we have, we need to take care of. I'm not saying we need to build new parks or new ball fields. I didn't say anything like that. But I still cannot understand why we are funding over $10,000 every year to one park in Weewahitchka. When you go there, it is not a high-maintenance park. It's a large park. It's an extremely large park. But I stand by my motion. And to me, if we're going to fund the parks out of the TDC, that's a good idea. I think that they should be looked at on a park-by-park basis, and that type of a budget should be made. And in some years, a park's going to need more maintenance than others.
Comment.
Sure. Yeah, it's open discussion.
Truthfully, if I know 100% sure that it's going to get funded by TDC, I don't have an issue with pulling this out today. I don't know that. Can any of you tell me that?
The only ones that count on the funding are y'all. So y'all get to vote on the TDC budget, whether you do it tonight or whether you do it 2 weeks from now. So y'all get to decide where every penny of that money's spent. So if y'all want to fund the city of Weewahitchka and the city of St. Joe $10,000 out of that fifth penny, y'all 5 or 4 get to make that decision. So it's totally up to y'all.
Okay, and another comment, I'm gonna make Commissioner Bryan, this is kind of raw, but it's the truth. I'll tell it like it is. You've been on this board for 3 years now. Get over and you complain about your parks being in bad shape, not being able to get anything done or whatever. I have an issue with that, because as I sit here today, I've been down there at White City Park, might near all day long. We're restoring that park. We're restoring it. I'm in there, involved. We've had lumber, I'm talking $60,000, $80,000 worth of material sitting down there for almost a year to do this project. But what have you done? Zero. That's the problem that I have with this. You know, if I had a commissioner come over into my district and have to do my work for me, I'd be embarrassed. But I'm the one that's having to take charge. It's not for you. This is for the people, for the public, for White City Park down there, who uses that park daily, who uses the boat ramps, who does major tournaments down there. I'm the one that has to come down to your district and get the job done. Not only have I done it in White City Park, do you know who built Highland View Park? You're looking at him. This is before your term, but it's your district. I took the initiative, instead of, whenever I hit Highway 71 every morning, instead of going north to take care of the ball field with $10,000 that we're fussing about, I turned south and come to your district to help maintain it and get it up to where it should be. But my point is, you've had 3 years to get out, get involved with this. You can do just like I do. I get out there this morning, 6 o'clock, I'm on the phone with Mr. Butler. Mr. Butler, I need this crew, I need that crew, I need this dump truck, go down for that dump truck. This is what I need to put this project together. And that's what I do. So that's where I downfall you at. You've been here 3 years. All you've done is brought the negatives out. Get out and work with the public. Work with the people.
All right.
Work with your boat landings and stuff.
And Mr. Chairman, and you know, I appreciate how proud you are of yourself, Commissioner McLemore, and I appreciate the work that you do, but you are wrong. I have been out to White City Park. I have been out there, and I've been trying to get something done at White City Park for 1.5 to 2 years. I try to go through the proper channels. I try to do things the way that our policy and our ordinances are laid out. And I have been asking the county administrator for close to 2 years to help me with White City Park. I've asked for funding, I've asked for direction, I've asked when we got a new parks department for direction with White City Park. I have expressed my concerns regarding the appearance of White City Park and the safety issues. And this is a budget meeting. We're really not here to discuss all of these problems, but I am trying to go through the right procedures. And I do appreciate the things that you do, Commissioner McLemore. However, I want White City Park to be fixed. I want it to be fixed properly. I don't want to spend 1 penny on fixing that park when it's not going to be done properly. I want it done professionally and properly, and I don't want to waste any money. I don't want to spend a few $1,000s and have it just be a Band-Aid. There's huge problems at White City Park. The ground is falling out. The seawall, the concrete is all busting. It's all falling in. And this is something that I have been raising for a long time. I understand that we are on a strict budget. That's what we're doing here now. I don't want to raise anybody's taxes. I don't want to raise taxes to pay for parks. I don't want to raise taxes at all. So I'm trying to look for ways to fix the park. Yeah, we do have wood there, but we need more than just that wood to fix it properly. And it needs to be designed properly. When you're shoring up land on a waterway that is not only extremely deep, but the current moves quite rapidly, you have to fix that properly. You got to have professionals. And, you know, I appreciate everything you know about using boat ramps, but you're not an engineer. And I appreciate any recommendations. My understanding is that this is something we were going to discuss at the next county commission meeting. Again, I try to do things properly. I try to do them through the county administrator, and I have been out at White City Park many, many times. You're not out there watching me. And Mr. Chairman, I am out at my parks. I am in my district. You guys could say that. You've been saying it for the 2.5 years that I've been on this board. You've said it since day one. You can say it. It doesn't make it true.
Mr. Chairman, Mayor?
One more, we're gonna stop.
Okay,
We
just-
here
just-
for these
just-
people out
okay,
here. They
just-
wanna
just-
discuss this
just-
budget.
Okay, just one quick comment.
We have a motion on the floor and a second
Okay, just-
pending. One more, and that's
discuss-
it. I'm shutting it down.
Okay, I hear you. I just want to make this one comment. I designed and built White City Park 20 years ago. 20 years ago. It's lasted 20 years. I'm not an engineer. I designed it and built it. Same way with Highland View Park. That's all.
That's it. Now, Commissioner, sorry for all this. You have a second to the motion was T.L. James, but the question is,
Right.
are we 100% sure on that?
Well,
With the TDC. Now, that was what Mrs. Jenkins told me that she would take of the fifth penny and give 10,000, replace this 10,000. It came up before with 10,000, also give the city of Port St. Joe. Now, I see the attorney or assistant administrator.
Michael,
Any
myself.
questions, Jim?
I'd just say, Chairman, Commissioners, page 63 of your budget's in front of you. The third line down, you generated $172,500 under that penny after you adopted that ordinance. It's projected you're going to generate a $265,000 on your fifth penny. It's a 5-year ordinance. You've levied that tax against the tourist development. $265,000 per year is your projected revenue coming up.
Come up with the money to build
Yes,
this
sir.
park out here.
The ordinance was adopted, as long as you spend that fifth penny that's in accordance with that ordinance and statute 125, then you're within the parameters of what you're able to do with it, okay? The TDC has discussed it, you've discussed it at previous meetings about allocating that $10,000 to both cities from that park budget, from that fifth cent. And as Mr. Hammond said, ultimately, the vote of this board is going to dictate in this meeting or in your 22nd meeting as to how that TDC budget's going to be spent. You can spend the $20,000 that you've spoken of.
I'll give you the 30-second Reader's
All right.
Digest version.
We got to move on here.
Before the crash, each district had $40,000 for their parks, $200,000 park budget. We funded both the cities' money, $15,000, $20,000 apiece. After Windmark agreement, the city of Port St. Joe's money went away. We kept the board kept the city of Weewos because of the 4-H program. I mean, that was the only reason that part stayed.
Yeah, it's got a horse arena up there, too.
And it got reduced a couple times with the 10% cuts, just like the senior citizens and the library and all, get down to what it is today, the 10. But that's the only reason. We used to fund both cities prior to but if you want to fund them 10,000 each out of the TDC, it's your prerogative to do so.
Well, before we call for the vote, go to the public, I'd like to get back with the TDC. Make sure, now that's what I was told at the meeting, and I think it's in the meeting, in the minutes, that, because Commissioner Quinn is the one that asked the question, why one municipality and not the municipality of the city of Port St. Joe? All right, any further discussion on this? Yes.
One quick, but, I mean, if I'm understanding this right, there's no need to go back to the TDC, right? We can make that decision right now, that we want to spend those $10,000 in the city of Port St. Joe and the city of Weewalt. Correct? We don't need to ask the TDC, right?
You don't have to.
No,
This commission's the
answer
final
that
say
question.
on the
I
budget.
think out of courtesy, we ought to, because we've got another meeting.
Okay.
It just has to be spent in accordance with the ordinance.
Exactly. And it is for parks and recreation.
Sir.
All right,
You saying out of courtesy, you think we should go back to the TDC and just to verify?
I do. But we can do it right here. Let me go out to the audience on this. If you got anyone else on this? Let me go to the, before we call for the vote.
I'm following the leader here. If he pushes on the table.
I know that. And he's got a second out there. Is anyone in the audience, any concerns over this? All right, Commissioner Quinn, is your second going to stand to remove this $10,000 from the budget?
Yes, my second stands.
This time I'll call for the vote. Vote for the commissioner's motion.
Yes.
How do you vote, Commissioner?
No.
How do you vote?
Yes.
Yes. And the chair will vote yes. 10 comes out. All right.
May I return to the
All right, now we've got
the
this
19?
part. Now, which one you want to address next? The property appraisers or the senior citizens?
Well, I'd like to also, 19 that I brought up with the insurance agent, the consultant fee, if we can just discuss that and see if we can carve anything there, so that we know how much money we have to work with. Ms.
Okay,
Herring,
let's
did
try
you
to-
get that figure?
But Chairman, would you mind if I ask for clarification on the last motion before we move forward?
Sure.
I just wanted to verify that we are removing the 10,150. Y'all had mentioned 10,000.
said
I just want to make sure it's
10,000,
it's the full line item.
Yes,
Okay.
full line.
We're
Thank you.
removing that out of the budget.
Thank you very much.
Offsetting it.
Okay, so,
Now, you want to address insurance.
right.
Okay.
My understanding is that we pay a consultant fee to the insurance agent, and we have paid every year a consultant fee to the insurance agent of $19,000 plus. I had brought this up several times before, that we need to go out for bid, and we don't need to be paying a consultant fee. Our county employee who works in that area suggested that that was also the route to go. So my question today, and I don't know, I'm asking Mr. Novak without any prior information. Is that something at this point today, if this board desired to cut that consultant fee, can that be done today?
I'll be happy to look into it, but my understanding is that they've renewed that agent of records contract for a 12-month term based on the recommendation of your insurance committee, and that was renewed. So I think you have a binding contract right now that he is locked in, or that company's locked in for that monthly service, which goes back 4 years to when the county commission at the time that precedes this board moved away from a commission on those policies and instructed myself to draw up a contract that fixed a flat monthly fee so that they knew how much they were paying their agent of record, just to give you guys the history on it. And that's the way it's structured right now. But there is the alternative, which is preceding that, is you did have a commission structure that the agent was paid out of those policies. Right now you have a binding contract to pay that on a monthly basis.
So it would be when that is up for renewal?
Yeah, and I believe that's May or June, if I recall
Okay.
correctly.
All right, so I will just say that we need to look at that again next year, and it needs to go out for bid. So I would like for us all to consider that. I will ask again at that time, like I have every year. Because I don't think that's an efficient way to pay for the insurance services to this county.
Let me ask you a question, please, and we'll move on. Did you discuss this with you said an employee, Mr. Butler, I assume?
No,
Okay.
I discussed it with Denise months ago, not today, months ago.
Okay. All right, we got the insurance out of the way. Senior citizens, property appraiser?
Well, we all know that both of those, the property appraiser and the senior citizens agency, they have come and asked for additional funds at our last meeting. And we also received the email from the property appraiser regarding his need for $10,000. And he also has some litigation that he is facing, and my understanding in his email is that he's requesting us to look at putting something in reserves for his defense in this litigation matter. And I think if we just look at let's look at the litigation, I think that's pretty straightforward. I think we need to, as a board, consider setting some funding aside, if it's permissible under the budget process, out of our reserves for a litigation fund for our constitutional officers if they are in a situation where they need to defend a suit. It's not something that they necessarily can afford to carry in each budget, because hopefully they don't need it every year, nor do they need it every other year. But if we had an overall litigation fund in our reserves that wasn't counted against their budget, that they could notify us, they could come to the board and they could say, this is our situation, and we need to notify you that this is the potential of what we would need. The property appraiser is asking for $15,000, and I'd like for us to consider setting aside at least that much money in our reserves for a litigation fund that is there in case he needs it as he goes forward with this lawsuit. And if it's something that we had there, if it was the tax assessor or the sheriff or the clerk, whoever had that type of need for that type of litigation, they could let us know. And it's something that I think we should discuss.
Seems like here's where we at, to me. Seems like we have $10,000 to work with at this point. So we've deducted $10,000 T.L. James Park. Y'all did, I didn't. Anyway, we have $10,000. We have the senior citizens out there that's needing money. We have the property appraisers needing money. I said earlier that I wouldn't support an increase, but what I would support doing is splitting that $10,000 between the two. 5 for you, 5 for Mitch. Put the 5 in reserve for litigation or whatever. It's not the full amount that you wanted, but it's what we have at this point to work with. And I would be willing to do that.
Mr. Chairman, may I? I like the idea. I'd like to see us do the 5 for Mr. Burke's operating expenses that he needed, and the 5 to the Senior Citizen Center. And I still would like for us to set aside from our reserves the litigation reserve. It's an unusual situation. Mr. Burke believes that he has a good case, and that brings funds into our, into the county through those taxes. So I think that we need to back him and not have that count against his operating expenses. So I do like your idea of splitting the 5 and the 5, and, we still have one more meeting, so potentially we could find something else to carve. Or I guess we could leave it up to the property appraiser which one he wanted to assign it to.
What I'd like to do today, Mr. Chairman, is put a motion on the table. We have $10,000 locked in that we can work with. I'd go ahead and put a motion on the table today that we split it with the 2. And we still have a budget meeting left. It may be that we can find something else down the road to go with this, but this only seems like the fair way to do it with me. So I would put a motion on the table that we split it between the 2.
And the property appraiser decides where it's applied, the 5.
Yeah, I don't
Okay.
care what he does with it. Just that he's got a budget to run. That's his business. He knows where he needs it.
I will second your motion.
Okay. Got a motion by Commissioner McLemore, second by Commissioner Bryan. Split this 10,
Well, it's actually half of 10-1-5, right? 10-1-50.
anyway,
Okay. Well, we need to make it
haven't changed.
correct for the clerk.
Okay. Split it, 5,000 to senior citizens and 5,000 to the property appraiser. Okay, got a motion and a
5,000.
second. Now we're into discussion. You have any discussion on it, Commissioner?
Oh, sir, I'm in agreement now. I think that'll be a good idea. I do want to add, though, if Mr. Burke does win this lawsuit, then the money is coming to the county, right? Am I correct? Yes, sir. Come on, Mr. Burke.
Please, come up, Mitch.
With regards to these VAB lawsuits, one was actually where we tried to negotiate value. It didn't work out, so they filed suit. I understand because of the process, we had one company just file a lawsuit on us. They didn't go to VAB. They didn't come and negotiate. They just filed a lawsuit. So that's beyond my control. If they would have came in the office, we'd have tried to work it out with them. Fortunately, they did. They just filed suit. So we have to go, sorry, Becky. So we have to go through that process.
Mr. Burke, quick
Yes.
question.
Yes,
Is it Ag Reserves or Neal? Who's the lawsuit?
Neil Land and Timber
Okay, now we got that on the record. It's Neal Land and Timber that we're
Yes.
in litigation with.
and GTCom.
And GT-Com?
Yes, sir.
Who?
Yeah, they hire tax consultants.
Now, I'm on the Value Adjustment Board, and I was here, and I voted,
Yes, sir.
I
understand.
voted with the
Sure.
landowners and
Sure.
against the property appraiser because, and a good lawyer tell you the last place you want to go is to court. If you can avoid going to court, don't go to court. So,
Well, I understand that, but sometimes you gotta set precedent.
I know it. I know that, and I was
You know,
there, and we did try to negotiate with them.
That's right.
One group didn't even come before the board. They
Yes.
just
Yes, sir.
based their decisions on Neal Lumber's,
Yes, sir, that's.
results on Neal, and they just drew back. That's Ag Reserves, the people that bought all
Right,
the
and
single
Neil
family
Land and
companies.
Timber, we're trying to work something, and if it works out, wonderful. We
All right,
don't
but
go
what
to
about this
court, but
GT-Com? I wasn't aware of that one.
That's a situation on their personal property where they just filed a lawsuit on us.
Well, no, they never came and talked with you or tried to negotiate?
Nope. No, sir, they didn't. They have an attorney and a tax consultant, and I guess their job is to get what they can out of the county, and that's kind of where we are, but
But you are-
we're not gonna bow down.
But you're still talking with Neal.
Yes, sir, we are.
Good, good.
As a matter of fact, I'm meeting with Mr. McMillan on Monday.
Great. That's,
So-
maybe you can work out
Yes, sir.
something there. Let's hope we can.
Sure.
All right, anything else? Mr.
I
Novak?
was just going to ask Mr. Burke, one of the questions from the commissioner was that successful defense of the county, attorneys for the county would, under the administrative code, seek those expenses back for the legal fees. So as you go through the process, it'll be a request on behalf of the appraiser's office that they do get the fees back if it's a successful
if you-
defense.
I would like to do
Right.
that.
I just,
Yes,
to
sir.
answer
If
the
you win.
commissioner's question.
Yes, sir.
You'll reimburse the
I would like to do
taxpayers
that.
back their litigation money.
Sure, if it goes to court. And I have been paying a lot of those legal fees out of our budget currently because, you know, there's interrogatories to answer and all that other stuff. And I've been paying that currently out of my budget, but, you know, I have no idea what this is gonna cost if it were to go to court. And the Department of Revenue doesn't approve that. They put it in a contingency item. That's why I came to you guys to see if that may be a possibility to put it somewhere if the need arises for those expenses. So,
This would be a start.
yes, sir.
This would be a start.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Anything else? Thank you, Mitch.
Yes, sir.
Thanks so much. All right, before I call for the vote, anyone in the audience, any questions on this? This is $10,000 that we took from the city of Woodward, Michigan. We're gonna split it, 5,000 change and 5,000 change, and that's it. Anyone in the audience? All right. You made the motion? Brian, you made the second? Any opposition to the commissioner's motion? Not, motion passed 4-0. All right, we took care of that one. Taking care of the senior citizen. Russ, will that help you a little bit? I know you could use a lot more if you'd like to come up. I know the state has cut a lot, and I worked a lot with the senior, always been tried to be in your back pocket when it comes to taking care of our seniors.
Thank you all very much for allowing me to appear tonight. And I thank you all for the $5,000. It is a step in the right direction. I would hope that y'all could find several other steps to take and to help us out. I mean, we really need the funds. I mean, I'm not trying to blow smoke. So,
I know
but
you
thank you very much, and I appreciate it. But so does everybody else.
Yeah,
I
we
have
don't,
one
we don't never know what's gonna happen on this board. You know, so
That's true.
we have another meeting, you know, who knows? We may find some more.
One question,
true.
Sure.
Mr. Schultz, did I
Yeah.
have that figure correct, that you needed the 11,340 to bring the total up to 50? You had 38,660 in the budget.
There's $5,000 that was a grant. If you include that in the $50,000, that effectively cuts me $5,000.
Okay, so it's really,
So yes, you know, the original, we had like $33,000 and almost 34, and I was trying to get to 50 plus the grant, because the grant was always,
aside of the grant.
the grant was always outside of the county budget,
I see,
but
okay.
it was brought back in.
So you're really
Yes.
behind 16 plus,
Yes.
okay.
We're talking about that grant, this board gave you the 5 because there's, I can't remember who said it
That's-
takes
that's correct.
$7,000 to get a $5,000 grant, and it wasn't worth spending money.
That's correct.
We just give you the 5, so we give you the 5 there to offset the grant, and
But
Yeah.
what I was saying was normally, I mean, in this past year.
how much
it
are you
was- it was-
still short?
It was 33,000, and I was trying to get to $50,000 in funding by the
We're trying to
county.
go to
from-
50.
Yeah, to 50, which I figured was about 16,000,
Right.
okay? Because the grant fund was always outside of the county.
Yeah.
That, if you include it in what I'm trying to get, then you've just cut me 5,000. You see that?
What happens?
Okay.
We have another meeting, we have
Yes.
a long stretch.
And I appreciate everything y'all do for us.
Okay,
Thank
Russ.
you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Hear that?
Do we have enough money in the budget to put some Freon in that air conditioning? You know,
Thought that's the reason you wanted hot.
I am.
Everybody get-
You're usually,
I am hot and I'm always cold.
You always cold. That's what's wrong with you.
Maybe we can buy a fan.
You know? Okay, let's get back to business. You had nothing, I had nothing. Commissioner? We got
I'll have more at the
property
next
plate,
meeting.
the senior budget, insurance, okay? Okay?
Yeah, I'll have more at the next meeting.
Okay, I'm sure. Now let's go out here where it's important to the people. Does anyone in the audience have anything? This is for you. That's the purpose of this meeting. For us, but for you to come in here, if you got anything you'd like to air, please, now's the time to do it. Yes?
I'm Nancy Brockman with the Gulf County Library Coordinator, and I've come to you before
You have?
and just would like to repeat that we also have faced a cut from the state of over $7,500. And so we have come to the commission and asked if, while you're trimming your budget, if you can find some extra, it would really help the library services. You talked about taking care of the children of the county. This summer, we had over 1,300 attendees to our summer reading program. We started a new art program. We have some new children's computers to promote children's literacy. We have literacy kits that have been given to us that families can take home and work on early literacy skills. We're really working on getting the families involved in the county, and I appreciate your support. I've also gone to Florida Humanities and arranged to have some speakers come in to share stories of Florida and history of Florida with our older population. We've had a couple of musical appearances, which are well attended by the community. There's a lot of community support at both branches of the library, and I'm trying to spread out what I can do as best I can. But if the commissioners can find some money when you're trimming, we'd certainly appreciate being considered as well.
All right, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Anyone else? Anyone else? All right, our next budget meeting will be, should we get our dates right?
Hey, hang on just a second.
Do what?
A couple things.
Okay, all right, but I want to know when the next meeting will be.
20,
22nd at
22nd.
5:01. If-
22nd at 5:01. Okay,
all right.
now we
hang-
know that. Now, Madam Clerk, you have the floor.
Okay, we need to pass a few resolutions if there's no additional public comment.
Anyone else from the public?
Can I have just a few minutes for Sherry to fill in my blank
Sure you
spots
can.
on this thing?
Anyone else? Sure you can.
Um, Okay, the first resolution that we need the board to consider or to adopt, because we can't go any further if you don't, is the, adopting the tentative millage rate. And I will have to read this for you. A resolution of the Board of County Commissioners of Gulf County, Florida, adopting the tentative levying of ad valorem taxes for Gulf County for fiscal year 2015-2016, providing for an effective date. Whereas the Board of County Commissioners of Gulf County, Florida, on September 9, 2015, adopted the fiscal year 2015-2016 tentative millage rates following a public hearing as required by Florida Statute 200.065. Whereas the Board of County Commissioners of Gulf County, Florida, held a public hearing as required by Florida Statute 200.065. And whereas the gross taxable value for operating purposes not exempt from taxation within Gulf County has been certified by the county property appraiser to the Gulf County Board of County Commissioners as $1,415,201,171. So now, therefore, be it resolved by the Board of County Commissioners of Gulf County, Florida, that the fiscal year 2015-2016 aggregate millage rate of 7.6232 is greater than the rollback rate of 7.2163 mills by 5.64%. The aggregate millage rate of 7.6232 consists of the following. Countywide operating millage rate is 7.2442 mills. The St. Joe Fire Zone operating millage rate is 0.5 mills. The Tupelo Fire Zone operating millage rate is 0.5 mills. Overstreet Fire Zone operating millage rate is 0.5 mills. Howard Creek Fire Zone operating millage rate is 0.5 mills. There are no proposed voted debt service millage rates. This resolution will take effect immediately upon its adoption, duly adopted at this public hearing on the 9th day of September 2015. Will entertain a motion to approve.
All right, we have a motion for, do I hear a second?
Second.
A second by Commissioner Quinn. Any further board discussion? Adopting this resolution. Any other board discussion? Anyone in the audience? All right, if there's no opposition, any opposition?
I am opposed, as I've consistently voted against these increases.
All right. Motion passed 3-1.
The next one is a resolution adopting the tentative budget for your consideration. A resolution of the Board of County Commissioners of Gulf County, Florida, adopting the tentative budget for fiscal year 2015-2016, providing for an effective date. Whereas the Board of County Commissioners of Gulf County, Florida, on September 9, 2015, held a public hearing as required by Florida Statutes 200.065, and whereas the Board of County Commissioners of Gulf County, Florida, set forth the appropriations and revenue estimates for the budget for fiscal year 2015-2016 in the amount of $47,964,793. Now therefore be resolved by the Board of County Commissioners of Gulf County, Florida, that the fiscal year 2015-2016 tentative budget be adopted. This resolution will take effect immediately upon its adoption, duly adopted at this public hearing this 9th day of September 2015. For your consideration.
Motion by Commissioner McLemore. By Commissioner Quinn. Any further board discussion? Anyone in the audience? Any opposition to the motion?
I'm opposed.
Motion passed 3-1. Next.
Okay, we just need to set the final budget hearing. Currently proposed to be September the 22nd at 5:01. If the board would so agree and entertain a motion to set that final budget hearing for that date.
Motion by Commissioner McLemore,
I'll second.
second by Commissioner Bryan. Any further board discussion on the 22nd at 5:01? Anyone in the audience, any concern? Not any opposition? No opposition, this motion passed 4-0.
That concludes everything that we have for this evening, Mr. Chairman.
All right. Thank you, Madam Clerk. All right. All right. We want to thank the people. Take your time to come out today. Come back out at our regular meeting and come back for our budget meeting. Got a motion to adjourn. I hear a second. Second here. All in favor? Meeting adjourned. Thank you. All and everything.